It's engineer time in terms of the trait changes, abilities and whatnot across the board, World v World, PvP and PvE. Some are specific to actually PvP though as well. We're going to go through engineer first, and we're still continuing to evaluate the engineer and its scrapper specializations. For the baseline engineer, our goal was to improve lesser used abilities and adjust cooldowns where appropriate. There are a few additional points in the scrapper that we felt were necessary to change game-wide, but we also made some skill splits to alleviate its overpowering pressure in PvP where fitting. The Elementalist Tornado improvements have been reflected in the Elixir X Elite skill as well. Now, the Tornado obviously got 2 extra abilities, the 4th skill and the 5th skill, which is a knockback. If you've been playing the game, you can try that out yourself. I'm not going to show you here because it's kind of live. If I can get the Elixir X proc onto the Tornado, you'll see it. So, Glue Shot is the first thing. Cripple now applies on the initial impact. Boom. And on the initial impact, immobilized duration has been increased from 1 second to 1.5 seconds. Cripple duration has been increased from 1 second to 2 seconds. And they fixed a bug in which increased condition duration was not applied when the chemical rounds trait was equipped. Obviously, you know, condition duration increased. They've made sure that that's going to put into that ability. Well, traded it. Shock Shield. The damage of this skill has been reduced by 50%. So let's just switch over to our hammer. So switching over to hammer now. Shock Shield. Damage of this skill has been reduced by 50%. The damage displayed for this skill will now compound instead of displaying each instance separately. That's the 4th skill here, Shock Shield. There you go. Bit of a change, reduction in damage. Kind of sucks because it was nice to stick that along, you know, along with getting a nice block. Maybe they thought, oh, you shouldn't be doing tons of damage while you're blocking, but hey ho. So, you know, that damage has been nerfed. Sucks, but at least the block's still good. So it's not too bad. Like, most people used it for damage more than blocking, probably more than anything, because it was quite a lot of burst, specifically if you put it up with Electro Whirl as well. So Thunderclap actually got a bit of a change as well. This skill no longer deals damage on the initial impact, but it still stuns enemies. Damaging for all pulses has been increased by 26%. And an overall damage increase of 5%. So you do more damage with this ability, but not on the initial hit. So you can see there, put it down, start, and then the damage. 2, 3. Awesome. So that's good. 6 pulses. There's still a fair amount of damage. Like they say, 5% increase in damage. Next up, we have the net shots from the actual rifle. The velocity has been increased, the speed by 50%. Boom. That's definitely quicker. Definitely quicker. So easier to get that immobilized with the rifle. But in PvP, are we going to use it? Meh. In PvE, maybe. In raiding and whatnot, no, not really. You know, I mean, it's not going to be a thing. But yeah. It's a thing, you know, they're trying to bring up the core specializations for everything, I feel, in some kind of way where you feel like you're going to be able to use the core specs with the actual elite specs, or, you know, replace them at some point in time according to different maps and whatever. I know that's not going to happen right now, but that's what it feels like they're trying to do, and that's the thing. Okay, next, AED. Okay, next is going to be the AED, the Heal of Uselessness. This is the heal where you gain a lot of HP back if you get significantly hit, as we say. So activate your AED, enabling the system to heal you after a brief period of time. If you take lethal damage while the AED is active, it ends and heals you for a large amount and removes conditions. This heal has been so underwhelming, it's unbelievable, and it's still bad. In my opinion, it's something fun to use, but still not great. It's good in certain situations, I guess, but the healing turret, to be able to put it down and then, you know, take some conditions away, potentially get a water field blast and get extra healing is too good. and this still has a massive cooldown as well, and it still has a cast time. It's like, okay, cool, you don't have to think about specifically healing yourself, because it's going to heal you for a small amount if you don't use it, and if you do get hit significantly, like for a large amount, then okay, you get a lot of HP, but it's still, you know, not that great really. I mean, let's just wait for us to get hit by the Mesmer significantly. One more, come on, bring it out the damage. Okay, there we go. AED, as it goes off, you can see not a lot of healing there. If you don't get hit quite hard, then it's easy. It's an easy tell, you know, for them to actually bring, to just see, you know, they've got AED, don't pull out my burst, because otherwise he's going to get healed for a ton. A bit like, you know, Revenant, of course. You don't want to hit them when they're in their dragon stance heal, for example, and they've got that active, because otherwise you'll heal them up a ton. It's an easy thing to counter, and it's not a great heal in the first place, in my opinion. It's got too long a cooldown, so don't worry about that. It's not like a big issue. They're just trying to make it good, which is going to take a lot more. Static Shock. So Static Shock now has a change as well. The recharge of this skill has been reduced from 25 seconds to 20 seconds. So that is the tool belt skill for the AE, and that is obviously got a cooldown. Like I said, another cooldown change. I mean, that's cool. It's a cool thing to have. It's a good stun, you know. I mean, it's nice, but then you have to run AED just to use it. So how nice is it really? Side. Firebomb next as well. The burning duration of this skill has been increased from 3 seconds to 4 seconds. You cannot say no to a bit of burn. That's what I say. Let's just try out this one here. It's going to be the second skill. So there's more burning. You know, you can't really say no to that. It's not that bad. I mean, yeah. What else do you want me to say about that? It's a good thing. Trying to buff a kit. Hey, I'm not going to say no to a bit of smash damage. Whatever. Okay, grenade kit. The grenade damage instances will now additively, these words they use, indicates the total damage dealt to a target as grenades strike them, instead of displaying each grenade separately. Still seems to me to be a little bit confusing when you use them, but that's nice. A little bit of quality of life. Slick Shoes. The skill now applies 1 instance of knockdown, even when overcharged. Bulwark Gyro. This got a bit of a hit. Not great. This is where we start to get really effective as well. And you can tell my sadness, but I think it's important, you know, that they do nerf engineer survival to a degree, but the thing is they're starting to make other things survivable as well, so it feels like everything else is getting more survival skills and traits and ability improvements, but the engineer's just getting nerfed and nerfed and nerfed, and when's it going to stop, you know? So let's just read through Bulwark Gyro change there. The damage reduction of this skill has been reduced from 50% to 30%. So you can see on the actual tooltip as well, so I'll move this to the side. Just says it there, damage reduced 30% at the top. So that sucks, but hey ho, that's the thing. You know, it's happened, we'll deal with it, I'm sure. Still pretty useful at the moment. We'll have to see whether or not it still gets used by engineers, and if gyros are still going to be a thing in the meta in PvP, of course. Still a very useful skill, of course, and if you trait it, you can get stability and whatnot as well. So it really depends on what other builds come out. If we're going to see, you know, condition builds still going to be a heavy thing, which is, you know, Warrior's still not really been hit too hard. Necro's fine, and so is Mesmer. So we're still going to see, we might see stability still, or we might go back to adaptive. It really depends, because, you know, condition removal and whatnot as well, because things have changed elsewhere. We might need more survivability, so we might not be going for as much stability and as much gyros, but more for condition removal and things like that. So it might move to. We'll have to see. You know, it's just speculation. I'm not saying this is the truth or what's going to happen. It's still very early on. So medic gyro. That's going to be another thing as well we're thinking about. But perfectly weighted, stability duration has been increased from 3 seconds to 4 seconds. But the recharge of this trait has been increased from 5 seconds to 8 seconds. Oh, bugger. It's not too bad. At the moment, you can see... Let's just take off that free. We've got a little bit of boon duration as well on this build elsewhere, but you can see, obviously, that's the trait we're talking about there. Perfectly weighted. So now, 3 to 4 seconds, so extra stability, cool, but the actual cooldown has been increased from 5 seconds. So less stability. Again, survival thing. A lot of survival nerfs. Defense field. The cooldown has been increased from 25 seconds to 30 seconds in PvP only. This is PvP only. Still be able to use it in PvE as it was before, so 5, but now it's 30. So against, you know, now we've got a ton of Dragon Hunters coming in because Guardian's been buffed. You're going to have less access to that, and that sucks, actually, quite a lot. That was our main protection against them, and because they're using projectiles mainly, that's where a lot of their damage is coming from, although it's coming from sword now as well. That is going to be, you know, interesting to deal with. We have reflects and whatnot, so it's not horrible. Hey ho. Okay, gyro self-destruct, decrease the damage of detonating gyros by 17% in PvP only. Does exactly what it says on the tin, really. Medic gyro. It's a cast time now. Before it was instant. You have a cast time. Boom. 0.5 of a second, everyone, is the cast time for the medic gyro. No instant heal, and that goes the same for deconstruction field as well. Got a 0.5 second healing flipping cast time. Anyway, self-regulating defenses. The cooldown of this trait has been increased from 60 to 75%. To 75 seconds, sorry. The reason that is changed at the moment is because elixir cooldown. See there, reduce recharge. So all the traits, you know, affect the other traits to a degree. So make sure not I've got that, and you can see it truly is 75. But if you do go for HGH, which is the normality meta, if you're going to run alchemy, this is pretty much what people are running until maybe we see a change in that. Elixir S, 15 seconds extra of cooldown. So that's problem because, you know, obviously Elixir S, you know, makes you invulnerable. But the problem, sorry, makes you evade attacks. But the problem here as well is the fact that, you know, you're able to remove conditions when this came up as well. So you're able to remove a couple of conditions as well as being able to avoid attacks. Now you will be less condition removal and less evasive attacks. So again, less survivability, and that's the, like I'm saying, this is the key thing they've done in this patch. They have decreased the survivability of the engineer and scrapper. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying I'm angry. I'm not happy about it because obviously I don't want my class to be nerfed to hell, but there were definitely things about the engineer that needed to be nerfed in terms of survivability. And if you're an engineer player, you know that to be true, but it does feel like it may be getting a little bit, taking a piss a bit, really. Now, I mean, so many things have been changed about it, but it's probably necessary to a degree, but we don't need it. I don't think it needs to happen anymore. I don't think it needs to have, we don't need to go to any more extremes. To self-regulating defenses, as I said, poison dart volley with the pistol as well. Got a little bit of a change. Let's roll over to the pistol. What's happened with the pistol? Poison dart volley. The poison duration of the skill has been increased from 4 seconds to 5 seconds. And that's pretty good. Not bad at all. You know, extra poison. That's always good in PvP as well. So they're trying to buff like all these core things slowly but surely to give them more use, potentially, so more build diversity. Problem is we got so many guild classes in Guild Wars 2. This build diversity is really for anything that's not pro league, right? Because people that could like condition builds want to be able to do a lot of damage, survive to a degree obviously, but they want to put out a lot of condi as well. You're using pistol, it's all about the condition damage. And you're normally going to be running like pistol. You can run pistol shield with bombs, maybe now as well because the extra burning damage. So there's like burning and extra poison, which are two of the core damage dealing effects for the engineer on the core spec for the condition build. But you know, we don't use bombs. That's the problem. But now there's an extra tick. You know, you can bring some other things into the, you know, into the forefront and make you think. Bunker down. So dropped bandages. Oh, this is one as well. Another survival thing nerfed. Bunker down. You can't get regeneration now from the med kit, which is dropped. You used to be able to get regeneration. You don't. You just get a heal now, and it's just a solid heal. So what they could have done with this was to increase the healing of the actual med kit, I suppose, or I don't know. But it feels like something better could have been done rather than just saying you're not going to get regen. Final salvo, the stability granted by this trait has been reduced from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. PvP only. So again, you know, another nerf to survivability, to stability, more control effects coming out there as well. We've got a ton of stability in this build anyway, but still, you know, it's a thing, you know. Reconstruction field added a casting time to the 0.5 seconds, which I talked about before on the heal. So like I said, you're just gonna be getting that as well. Protection is obviously there as well, but still, hey ho. Then we have HGH fixed the bug in which the tooltips for might duration were incorrect for some skills. Auto defense bomb dispenser fixed the bug in which the smoke bomb fired by this trait would hit at locations other than those specified by the effects. Additionally fixed the bug in which the skill would fail to create a smoke field. So basically, all in all, as we take that screen out, it's a nerf to engineers' survivability, and also to, you know, those kind of being able to stack up damage in a specific moment. So for example, you know what I'm talking about in terms of thunderclap now, there's no damage on that initial burst from the actual thing itself, but it still gets a damage increase, so it's not too bad. So you're thinking more about initially trying to get the stun out, and the additional, and the damage is obviously really great as well. It's still quite strong damage. Again, with shock shield, we've got a bit of a damage reduction there. It's not too bad anyway. Makes you think more about using it as an actual block, which is actually what it's for, rather than just going for the damage. But it gives you that nice vulnerability as well. Just nerfs here and there, you know. Medic gyro now having a cooldown, a cast time is, and it's 0.5 seconds, but it means it can be interrupted. And really, heals should be interrupted. That should happen. That should be a thing for everyone to heal. Warrior heal obviously is Signet, is passive, and that's the thing. Reconstruction field, obviously, you know, putting poison on that warrior will help you a shed load, obviously. Reconstruction field getting that cast time as well, very similar, of course. The nerf to the Elixir S proc, which is an alchemy line, you know, adding that extra 15 seconds. If you're not traded over here, it's going up to 75 there. Also perfectly weighted. We've got less stability coming out now from Scrapper as well. So survivability, like I said, and Bulwark Gyro obviously went down to 33% damage reduction instead of 50%, which it was before. Yes, indeed, it was %. So, you know, those are the main things. Obviously getting Tornado. Now you've got these skills. So you've got Unleash the Elements from your core, firing a random elemental in all directions. And then we've got the 5th skill, which is the big ass knockback, which is actually not too bad. So move swiftly in the direction, knocking back enemies you collide with. So if you get it now as an engineer, it's actually going to be, you know, fairly useful for control affecting as well, because it gave you stability before, and you got a lot of damage from here to there, and you knocked people back. But now you can just like, you can actually knock people back with an activation rather than it kind of randomly happening every couple of seconds or whatever. So yeah, it's not too bad. So Elixir X got a little bit of a buff really in my opinion, but whether or not that's going to be used is another thing, because obviously we've had our survivability nerfed considerably with other skills, and this is not to say that Engineer is not usable anymore, because it's still a very strong class in Guild Wars 2. It's still very strong in PvP, and it still will be strong everywhere else. But I'm just saying that the survivability, whether or not this was needed, another thing. I do believe that it was needed still to have survivability nerfed, but the fact that warrior has not been nerfed that much, really, they're still tinkering with it, but they've got to be careful what they do, because warrior's only just become viable, really. To be honest, in the grand scale of things, it's not been viable for that long, and they have to be careful. So I understand it's going to be harder for an engineer versus a warrior now, but still doable, I think. I've been Jebro. Take care. Let me know what you think about the engineer changes and anything I've missed out specifically, and if you want me to cover any other classes and their changes. I've been Jebro. Don't forget to put a like down below, comments, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the future. Hello everyone, this is Jebro, and today we're going to be talking about the engineer. We're going to be talking about what you can still be using for it to be effective, what's been replaced, and maybe just how the way I've been playing it, because people have been asking me, and I do build videos, and I'm not saying this is the meta, but you know, it's not going to change that much for the engineer anyway, because there are certain things it needs to have to be competitive and to be useful in the meta and in the competitive.